Are you passionate about classical music and curious to uncover its hidden gems? Celebrate Polish classical music with Acte Prealable, the world's premier label dedicated to best recordings of Polish classical music. Featuring Poland's finest artists and praised by critics worldwide, our podcast delves into the lives and works of extraordinary Polish artists and composers. Each episode includes expert insights from renowned music critics, offering unique perspectives and unparalleled depth. Tune in and discover the beauty of Polish classical music, a hidden treasure awaiting your exploration. Welcome to today's episode. A story about passion, perseverance, and one of the most ambitious musical projects in the history of Polish phonography. An episode about Frédéric Chopin, but also about what happens when someone decides to do what others consider impossible. The year 2010 marked the bicentenary of Chopin's birth. What if we recorded all of his works? Thought Jan Jarnicki, founder of the renowned Polish record label Acte Prealable. Record every piece, the famous ones, the lesser-known ones, absolutely everything. And one more crucial condition. The entire cycle was to be performed by a single Polish artist. No Pole had ever attempted such a feat. The idea was born in February 2005 during a winter weekend spent with his friend Arkadiusz Jędrasik, and it quickly turned into a 15-year mission. Chopin is a phenomenon among great composers. His entire artistic identity is built around the piano, and even his chamber and orchestral works place the piano at their core. Choosing the pianist for such a project was therefore absolutely essential. Jarnicki had no doubt who should take on this monumental task. Joanna Wawrynowicz. Born in Warsaw into a family immersed in music for generations, Wawrynowicz found her natural language in the piano at the age of 4. She studied with masters whose names have entered history, won prizes at major competitions, and performed on every continent, shaping the sound of distinguished orchestras. As a pedagogue of exceptional sensitivity, and a professor of piano at the Frédéric Chopin University of Music in Warsaw, she shapes new generations of Polish pianists, passing on the same depth of understanding and artistic integrity that define her own interpretations. This dual identity, an artist of uncommon imagination and a teacher deeply aware of her responsibility to tradition, gives her readings of Chopin particular weight, combining technical mastery with a sense of mission toward the music. But this project was something entirely different. It meant every note Chopin ever wrote for the piano, a venture requiring immense dedication, not only technical mastery, but also endurance, consistency, and a clear artistic vision capable of giving coherence to such a vast body of works recorded over 2 decades. Mission impossible? Yet, when Jarnicki invited her to join the project, Wawrynowicz accepted without a moment's hesitation. Recording began in April 2005. The project received no funding from any official institution, no lifeline from the state. And yet, Jarnicki refused to let that be the end of it. He wrote to the Polish Ministry of Culture, carefully, hopefully. He reached out to the Frédéric Chopin Institute, an organization whose entire reason for existing is to carry Chopin's legacy forward. Surely a complete recording of Poland's most beloved composer would find a home there, a champion, even just an open door. There was nothing. No reply, no acknowledgement, just silence. The kind that feels less like an oversight and more like a verdict. Letters went unanswered. Requests disappeared into indifference. But Jarnicki did not stop. If no one would stand behind the project, then he would stand alone. He would carry it himself, every note, every obstacle, and he would see it through. For Jarnicki, this was not just a publishing project. Chopin had accompanied his family for generations. His great-great-grandfather, the painter Antoni Kohlberg, created the last portrait of the composer in Paris in 1848. For Jarnicki, completing the project was part of that heritage. The series begins with the piano concertos, and the subsequent volumes encompass all the colors of Chopin's muse. It is a complete journey through the composer's life and work, seen through the eyes of a single artist. After the concertos, the series moves to the polonaises, dance forms that Chopin made truly his own. The first piece he composed as a child was a polonaise. Throughout his life, he returned to the form, transforming it from a courtly dance into something far deeper. Take the Grand Polonaise in E-flat major, Opus 22. Chopin began writing it in 1830, before leaving Warsaw, but completed it only in 1835. 5 years of work on a single piece. Why so long? We will probably never know. The subsequent entries in the 17-disc series reveal the full breadth of Chopin's world. Mazurkas, pulsing with the rhythm of the Polish soil. Etudes, both virtuosic challenges and poetic miniatures. Sonatas, monumental and dramatic. Nocturnes, intimate and songful. Waltzes, elegant yet often tinged with melancholy. Scherzos, where fury and lyricism intertwine. Preludes, brief yet strikingly intense. And songs in which Chopin speaks through the poetry of Stefan Witwicki, Bohdan Zaleski, Adam Mickiewicz, Zygmunt Krasinski, Ludwik Osinski, and Wincenty Pol. To this, we add all the remaining works, small forms, youthful attempts, rarely performed gems, together forming a complete portrait of the composer, impossible to grasp by listening only to his greatest hits. This series is not just a catalogue of works. It is a journey through Chopin's entire life, from childhood polonaises to his final haunting miniatures, told through the sound of a single artist, Joanna Waryniewicz, who masterfully captured both the brightness and the shadows of his music. By 2010, almost everything had been recorded, except the songs and orchestral works. Despite delays, the project was completed in 2019, when the final recordings were made. 15 years after that memorable conversation in February 2005, the project was whole. The orchestral recordings were made possible thanks to the Symphony Orchestra of the National Television and Radio Company of Belarus, conducted by Maestro Czesław Grabowski. Paradoxically, Minsk proved more welcoming than Warsaw. The other artists involved in this monumental project form an impressive, carefully selected ensemble. The recordings featured the distinguished harpsichordist and pianist Elżbieta Stefanska, renowned for her masterful interpretations of early music. Flutist Elżbieta Gajewska, known for her exceptional clarity and elegance of tone. Violinist Andrzej Gebski, valued for his noble sound and precision. Cellists Jaroslaw Domzal and Adam Krzysztofiewicz, representing two different yet complementary approaches to the instrument. And coloratura soprano Katarzyna Dondalska, gifted with a voice of extraordinary lightness and brilliance. Their participation not only enriched the project with a diversity of colors and interpretations, but also emphasized its unique collective character. Although the pianist remains the central figure, the entire ensemble contributes to the artistic panorama of this undertaking. on March 1, 2026, Chopin's birthday. The complete works of Chopin had its long-awaited digital premiere. The release comprises 17 multimedia albums, each featuring original artwork, richly designed digital booklets, with extensive essays and artist biographies, and, at its core, high-fidelity audio presenting every work Chopin ever composed. 15 years of work, every note of Chopin performed by a single artist, entered a new era. What began as a classic analog documentary mission now became available on all digital platforms worldwide. And so Jarnicki's project, born out of love for music and driven by a determination worthy of 19th-century publishers, continues its mission into the third decade of the 21st century. Thanks to new technologies, Jarnicki's labor of love has become accessible to anyone who wishes to hear Chopin in his entirety, in the interpretation of one artist who managed to give this gigantic cycle a unified tone, color, and emotional arc. The complete works of Chopin is not only a phonographic achievement, but above all a testament to the power of people guided by passion, and to the encyclopedic knowledge of Chopin's oeuvre, present, for example, in the essays of Antoni Grudzinski that enrich each volume of the series. Jan Jarnicki had the vision, Lorinowitsch the unwavering determination, and both could count on devoted allies. Arkadiusz Jędrasik and Magdalena Wolinska, Jarnicki's partner, whose quiet, constant support became the foundation of the entire project. As Jarnicki himself admits, without her acte préalable would never have existed. Do you remember that Jarnicki's great-great-grandfather painted Chopin in 1848? More than 150 years later, his descendant preserved every note of the master. A circle closed by art, portrait and sound linking 2 centuries of devotion. When you next hear a Chopin nocturne or mazurka, think of those who devoted part of their lives to preserving this music for future generations.